Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Bertie Leroux live broadcast this afternoon. My name is Ivan Fune, and I have the honor of co-hosting and interviewing Bertie Leroux about his new areas of interest, which an overview is vision with imagination. And today we're going to delve deeper into the concept of insight or the principle of insight. Good afternoon, Bertie. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and good afternoon to you, and good day to everybody that's tuned in and that's listening and will be watching. Much
That's
appreciated.
amazing. Thank you so much for everyone watching this or even afterwards. Remember, if you have any questions, please post them in the comment section and we will answer your questions. Bertie, let's set up this topic by going through some of the things that we spoke of before the call, and and then we can break that apart. And I've got some quotes as well that I want to share, and I think that you're going to bounce quite nicely off. Let's actually start with one of these quotes, and that actually opens up our topic today. Um, Aristotle, I think he was a philosopher. He said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." So, talk to us about knowing yourself. Well, why is that important?
That's absolutely the cornerstone to the principle of insight. Because before you can really move on and achieve goals and achieve your end state and your dreams and your vision and define your vision, you need to know who you are. And that is one of the biggest challenges. It's really the foundation of being is to know who I am. Honestly and sincerely, who I am, not what other people have told me I am. It's who I know, believe, and trust to be the real me.
You've got, Bertie, this concept that you're constantly working on, and you've done that with younger people before. And it's this concept of I am me. Does that tie into that? What is that about?
Absolutely. Many years ago, I developed this concept of I am me to help people to understand the true self. And we've built it because, yeah, part of who I am is my education, my upbringing, where I grew up, family life, education, all those kind of things is part of what I do. But that is just part of me. The unique person that I am, and the way I was born unique and gifted by God uniquely, all those put together is where I come from. And I've done a program that element of four elements, because in order to understand where I'm going, I need to know who I am. And if I know who I am, I can know where I go in terms of where I go with my life. But in order to really quantify and qualify my dreams in the new definition being vision, is to to test myself in terms of the reality thereof. Because the problem of many of us is that we make decisions almost on the spur of the moment, and we take our life from here onwards going forward. Okay. So we go forward from this without necessarily understand who we are, but we are taking a stance and then go in a direction that we believe is suited to us, based on not who I am, but who other people told me I am or that I should be. So in that I am me program that I developed, that test of reality check, that you can understand, is it truly me? Is, if I read that end state, will that have made me happy? Is that really what I have in mind? We do that checks and balances, that playing the devil's advocate. And once you've done that, you say, okay, fine, now how do I get there? Okay, so the concept of creating a vision that has overview and insight and foresight as elements of it is all part of that, to identify and establish who I really am. Who am I? Once I understand that, it becomes the cornerstone for me to grow and develop and go forward. If I don't have that, and I'm not talking about necessarily a foundation, because a foundation sometimes bog people down. It's like concreting your feet into the ground, and then you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, but you shackle down. You're impeding in your progress. It is your foundation in this instance is it's my platform that I start off with, my education, my culture, my beliefs.
I think a big part of the process here, especially in principle of insight, is we started off this call by talking about knowing yourself, and it's important that you know you are born and gifted unique. Talk to us about that uniqueness and how that identity is important in our lives and being successful.
I like the word that you've used, identity. But let's just park that for a minute. I mean, not a single one of us may be identical twins, look alike, and sometimes act alike. But the rest of us, we are not. There's nobody like me. I must understand. If I try to emulate and be somebody else, I can only be a second best person of that individual. I am gifted and I am unique. So I must understand that concept and start believing it, that there's nobody else like me. And I don't want to be second best. I don't want to be coming second in every single race that I take on in life. But unfortunately, some of us, unknown to us, are quite happy to do that. We even comes third and fourth and fifth. We don't even understand the whys because we want to be like somebody else. And every time we try to emulate somebody else, I am not that. I am not Arnold Schwarzenegger. I will never be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And if I try to emulate him, I will only be a second best Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I can still have a firm life, a body and a muscular body. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'd say to myself, in terms of my goals or my where I'm going to, is that what I'm looking at? I would like to look like that, but not be that. I can never be that. So, and when we're born, we're unique. And I mean, God referred to that in the Bible, and to the uniqueness of you being born and then you're gifted. Not necessarily in that direct words, but some of the stories that were told is that you're gifted. What do you do with your talents that was gifted? Do you put it on a bucket, or do you really work with it? And find out who you are and believe you go. But no, what do? Because of situations and schools and cultures and communities, we sort of forced into boxes. We should be like that. So we spent the rest of our life to fit in, whilst we were born that unique, to actually stand out. And that is the concept of understanding who I am. Is I am actually gifted to stand out, not to be like everybody else, because then I am second best. He did not create second best people. He created the best possible Bertie that he can. It's nobody like me. And that is so important to understand that concept. So we try to create personalities for ourselves and presence for ourselves, but by looking at the other people, by once again emulating other people, what we see in them as being successful or beauty or need to have.
I guess a portion of knowing yourself in this, talking about the principle of insight, a component of that is knowing what your passions are. Why is knowing your passion so important?
At the end of the day, there's a formula that I use and I talk about a lot. And the whole concept of vision with imagination is for you to help and understand, and then for you to create that and understand the principle of passion plus purpose equals prosperity. But you must understand what you're passionate about. Because what I'm passionate about is normally, and I say normally, because it's not always the case that what you're passionate about is what you're good at, but it's what you believe in. And even if you're not good at it, you enjoy doing it to such an extent that you become passionate about it. And I'm not saying I'm passionate about my Liverpool as my preferred soccer team, or what, or Tiger Woods, my preferred golf player, that I look up to. You can be passionate about that, and try to get and understand the sport like them. But passion is me. That's that makes me happy. That gives me the reason to get up in the morning and to do what I do. Talk to people, do things for people, for part of companies, whatever, part of teams. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about talking to you today. I love this. I absolutely love this. So, and the purpose of this is, for me, is to transfer my skills, my knowledge that I've built up over my 66 years, and give it to people, to say that you don't have to learn that again. You can start off from here. I'm willing to share with you, and I'm reaching out. My hands are open. I'm lifting you up, and I'm helping you, making your weight less so you can walk faster. That is my purpose. And out of that, necessarily, there's a gain. And the gain could be complete happiness and joy, and fulfillment. And if I want to define fulfillment being equal to prosperity, then I'm saying, yes, that makes me a rich person. Not the money in the bank, not the shares in the safe. No, it is what really makes me tick and makes me happy. I told you before, I'm talking to a group of people tonight, and they are based in Toronto and in Canada, called Bloomers. That's a group of people that's been established for over 60s. And that's my talk tonight, to talk to them about passion plus purpose is prosperity. That we can understand that the definition might change, especially of the prosperity part, as we move on in life. But that we must never stop having passion for life and having purpose in life, because that will make us full and make us happy and prosperous as a human being. So passion is all encompassing. It covers everything. If I'm not passionate about something, and of my job, my work, I want you to rethink doing that, because it's not when you're going to change, not if you're going to change, it's when. So why not do it now? Follow your dreams, follow your passions, because they and your dreams, and therefore your visions, are very much in sync. I can promise you.
Last week we spoke of the principle of overview, and this week, speaking of the principle of insight, why does overview and insight fit so closely together?
The concept of the overview is to having a review of your life. We talk about the bird's eye view thinking. In other words, you elevate your sky away from where you're grounded, so you can think new and fresh, and not being bogged down in your thinking. Because if we think about bottom up, we always want to be in control, and therefore we need to be grounded. We don't want to move into the uncertainty of the unknown. But if you really want to prosper, if you really want to grow, you've got to go where nobody has gone before. So you need to then sit out and dreams of possibilities and what. And the bird's eye view is really the concept, elevating you away from where you're at, forget about doing what you are, and look at the world. But in that process of looking, you're looking at possibilities. Therefore, you go back to, who am I? What is my gifts, my unique gifts? What make me tick? And where's my passions? Because now that is the next step. Because I have now seen the possibilities out of my subconscious mind. And that is built from my passions. I mean, it's seeds that have been sown in there for the last 66 years. So those are the seeds that's starting to grow. And I'm allowing them because I'm watering them all of a sudden. So that is what I must look at. And so the bird's eye view is looking at, I know who I am, and I trust and believe who I am, not listening to anybody else. So I'm going to follow my path. I'm going to follow where I should be going, and should have been going for many years, following my dreams, and then create that, and in that process, follow my vision, that perceived future that I've created for myself. So it is totally integrated with one another.
We've got a comment here by Archibald Wolfsals, and he says passion equals everything for him.
Absolutely truth, Archibald. Thanks for watching. Um, if you are passionate about it, you can handle the good, the bad, and the ugly because you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you will end up being superb at that. Um, and just create. It's like Archibald is a fantastic guy. He has run around his house during COVID many kilometers. He's actually done, if I'm not wrong, he's done 100 miles running around his house. It's a unique person. I love him to bits because that's a person that is passionate about what he's doing. And that's why he's so successful. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He knows the outcome before he starts. That's how passionate he is about what his life.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank you.
Archibald, for contributing today. Bertie, talk to me about the blood transfusion. What the concept of the blood transfusion?
Now, the concept of blood transfusion comes from the fact that I want you to rejuvenate yourself, to create a new you. And that is to throw away all these things that you are carrying around in life, of the labels that were stuck on your head all over since you were a little boy or little girl at school, sport fields, and whatever. Labels that you got, and that's keeping you back. People telling you that you're only good for that, and all those kind of things. So the concept of blood transfusion is to sit really and to get rid of all of that, to take it all out of your life and just throw it out and take a blood transfusion, in other words, getting new, fresh blood, rid of all the bad things that's part of your past, those you can remember, and possibly also those that you cannot remember, that you just want to get rid of, because those are the things that's keeping you back. And if you really are honest with yourself and you ask yourself, where does it come from? Often you won't know that, but you just remember somebody said to me, sometimes in my life, you're good for nothing. And you will create nothing, and you be nothing, etc., etc. We can go on. It's labels, and it's stuck. So you've got to take them out and throw them back. And by blood transfusion, we mean get rid of that, put in the new blood, and then go on from here. That's where that example comes from.
When we deal with the principle of insight, we were discussing earlier the use and the function of a vision board in this whole process. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
It is often difficult. It has been for me, and it has been for many people. It's very difficult to really understand who I am. I can do a lot of things, and I'm not talking IQ or EQ, emotional intelligence. Those things are important to understand, and but that's not key to success. Okay. The concept of a vision board is really to freely allow yourself to be creative and to create what you believe makes you happy. And the concept is where you take a sheet of paper, A1 size piece of paper, or whatever the size you want to be, or just your wall in your room, and you get periodicals and papers and everything you can get, and you tear out pieces. Often, preferably, don't cut it out, tear it out. In other words, take it from that book permanently, and then you stick it, and you build a collage of what you think and believe will make you happy, where you're going to the rest of your life. If you've done this all, whether it is a bucket list of going skiing and going to England and say hi to the Queen, whatever the case may be, you build that up. Your education, the type of house you want one day, and the motor car you want to drive, all those kind of things, you build in that piece of paper. You stick all those papers on top of each other, and you just see the little fashion or this one, the case. And then you frame it and you put it on your wall. And you say, that is me. It represents me. I love all those things, and I want all those things in my life. And I'm going to make it work. So I'm going to work towards that, but because that represents partly my vision of my deserved future. And that's quite important. I mean, I said before, there's examples here where I actually took executives of a company, and we didn't have the privilege of having books. I said to them before a strategic planning exercise, you create a vision board where you see the company going, where the company is at the moment, what you want to achieve, and the successes and the downfalls and the challenges and the risks. You draw them. I gave them a pack of crayons. Talk about crayons. I gave them a pack of crayons. I said, just draw that. It wasn't easy for those execs. I mean, they are people that's earning a lot of money. They're senior people with MBAs, and I'm putting them back into kindergarten. But they took up the challenge and made a big difference to that strategic planning session.
Patty, we did this once or twice before. I want to have some fun at the latter part of this interview. I want to share some quotes with you by famous people or influential people, and then after sharing the quote, then I'd love for you to share your thoughts on it. Very well-known figure Nelson Mandela said, "Learn to know yourself, to search realistically and regularly the processes of your own mind and feelings."
I can just say amen, because it's exactly what I'm alluding to. You've got to know yourself, and spend a lot of time with yourself. I've done a lot of talk now lately about the mirror. Talk about the mirror and what the mirror can tell you, because the mirror is the only honest person that you can trust in your process of identifying who you are. The mirror never lies. So it's important that you go through a constant exercise, what I love and why I do it, and because we don't necessarily know all the time what makes us happy and create us to be such negative people, or makes us so positive and so successful. We check so now and again. We go back and we just make the check, and exactly what Nelson Mandela was saying there. If only every single one can believe that and can do that, the world would be a different place. He was one in a million, one in a trillion, unique person.
Here's a quote by Tina Lifford. She's an American actress and playwright. She said, "When you know yourself, you are empowered. When you accept yourself, you are going to be invincible."
Once again, I mean, because that's part of the challenges. We are not perfect. And unfortunately, some people has got the view that if I want to be perfect, and I have to be perfect because the world expects me to be perfect, then I need to be an element of a lot of different people and do things in a lot of different ways. And that is probably one of the biggest downfalls of life, is that when we go into that mode of believing that we should be perfect, the only perfect person ever was God. We will never be perfect. He created us unique and perfect. So that what she is saying is knowing that, and then knowing yourself, but then living your life according to the true me. That's another element. So that's a second big challenge that she's referring to. Just accepting me, and I left that word identity just now, and because you've got to create your own identity according to your unique gifts. But in order to do that, you needed to find what is your unique gifts, and then trust yourself to be the best you will ever be, and then live your life accordingly. The true self. Love that quote.
Here's a quote by Carl Jung. Carl Jung was the Swiss psychiatrist, and he founded analytical psychology. He said, "Who looks inside dreams. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes."
You better play it past me again. That's a
He
mouthful.
said, to those who look outside, dreams. Those who look inside, awakes.
Okay. That latches onto the previous quote. Is if I am in control of who I am, in other words, I do believe in my possibilities, my abilities, and I live my life accordingly, then, as I say, I'm in control and I'll create. I don't have to dream because I do. If I sit and I do nothing, or I hardly do something, but I dream about things, and so often we dream without action, then the dream will stay a dream because the dream will just be pushed out every single minute, hour, every day. But the moment we take that inside ourselves and we start living our life, that dream becomes an action, and we take action and we achieve. So and there's only one action, as they say, to cover 100 miles. Doesn't matter how you do it. It starts with the first step. So life starts with the first step. Achieving your dreams, your goals, your visions start with the first step. Believe and trust and just do.
Awesome. The next one is by Friedrich Nietzsche. He is a German philosopher, and he said, listen to this: one own self is well hidden from one's own self. Of all mines of treasure, one's own is the last to be dug up.
To answer that question, you probably need to be a philosopher yourself, and not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a coach or a mentor. That becomes quite challenging. So it's one of those that I think I would leave unsaid, because it is quite a big challenge, and it comes down, in my mind, to believing in self. If I understand that correct, is believing in myself, because if I believe in myself, everything is possible. But if I do not trust that I can, then I won't start. I just simply won't do it. So if I can conceive it, I can actually do it.
I think also what this meant to me was that every person has a very deep well, and you can dig into that for a very long time, and you'll find treasure there, and you'll find a lot of things there, but it's probably going to be a continuous thing that you're busy with. Aldous Huxley was
But
an
before
English
you, sorry,
writer.
Ivan,
Sure.
sorry, before you get that, just to latch on to just what you said, it is what you said about the previous quote. If you can think about it, you can actually do it, because you're immensely powerful and able and capable, but we don't necessarily know that. And that is why, in the process of this, this insight exercise that we do with people, is to go to your core, right down to your core, to delve deep into yourself, so that you can understand how powerful you really are. Those gifts that we're talking about, just immensely. And what you're saying and what he's saying is that you are so powerful you don't even know it. If you think you can't, the answer lies within yourself to find the answer, because you can. And every time you're stuck, you can find a way to do it, because you're able to do it. But we just don't trust necessarily ourselves that we are so immensely powerful and capable and able. It's just, when people start thinking about that, and you let them loose afterwards, that then it's just incredible what they can do. Because for the first time in their life, not only other people believe in them, but they believe in themselves, and they don't accept the world's limitations. They go through them, around them, but they achieve what they set out to do. Sorry to interrupt.
No, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Aldous Huxley was an English writer and philosopher, and he said, "There's only one corner of the universe you can be certain of improving, and that is yourself."
Yeah, and immediately I think about the Flat Earth Society, because only them will be able to tell me where that corner is. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, it's absolute. Once again, it comes back to the same concept: is that if it's to be, it's up to me. I can. I'm immensely powerful and able. I'm saying that over and over again because when you start, if you see it, you believe it, then you do it, and then you're immensely powerful because nobody can stop you. The human mind is just we don't know the extent of what is able if we apply our minds.
Here's a couple interesting ones that's going to come through, Barty. Also, some of them are famous. William Shakespeare said, "We know what we are, but know not what we may be."
That's true because we get molded through life. Um, we set out and often we ourselves stand back and say, "Is that really me? Did I really create that?" Because we sometimes take little baby steps en route to what we want to achieve, and then beyond our expectation we achieve. And that's exactly what you say. Where we start and where we end is definitely not the same, because along the road we get molded and get chipped away like a statue. The creator and the creation that we bring to ourselves is phenomenal. It is well said.
Here's an interesting one as well. Jean de La Fontaine was a French poet, and he said, "A person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it."
It is so true that I've read recently about people that emerge from a troubled life and become immensely successful. And then you ask yourself, why would they consider that emerge from there? Because if where you're at today is the sum total of what you've achieved over your life. You've had great successes and you have as great failures in your life. But you are here today. So somewhere along the line, you must have been extremely successful, even so successful that the failures didn't keep you back because you're here. Nobody says that half of me is a failure and half of me is a success, because my life was so full of both of them. And that really comes back to that quote, is that we certainly must believe that we are what we think, and we are capable and able, once again, of what we think, and that is what mold us, and that's create our future for ourselves. We don't necessarily always know where we're going.
Got an awesome comment here from Archibald. He said, "Barty, your wisdom needs to be shared with the broader community. Thank you for sharing your passion." Archibald, there's a way you can help us. You can share this broadcast even afterwards on your profile or anywhere on social media. And you can also tag anybody in the comments that you think might find value in this. Marianne Williamson is an American author and political activist. Listen to what she says. She said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkest, that most frightens us." And I think this speaks to that. We've often had this discussion about the fear of success. A lot of times people sabotage themselves because if you're successful, then life changes quite a bit. And then how do you adapt to that? What do you think of that thought?
Yeah. You see, if I just use my own life, nowhere were I educated, trained, schooled um, in how to handle success. Sometimes and often, if I look at successful people, I do envy them and jealous about them, but I will not take a step to be like them because I'm scared for what the people's going to say. And that's unfortunate part of that we we are almost to the point embarrassed about being successful because of the fact that we've grown up to fit in. And if I'm successful and therefore standing out in the crowd, I'm not acceptable, because acceptance means being like everybody else. And that is why some people don't even start down the road of success, because they don't want to be standing out in the crowd, because they have been taught, subconscious mind is telling them thou should not be, because that's not acceptable. And in simple terms, it's exactly what they're alluding to. We must follow our gifted path and be the best we can, and therefore be as successful, because that is what we are brought. That's why we were born. We were brought to this world to bring success to the world, because through success we will achieve success and help other people to be successful. But if we too stand back because we don't want to be exceptional, don't want to stand out in the crowd, we'll just be like everybody else, and everybody else will be like everybody else. So what's going to happen? I'd share a thought of being scared of that, and I'm often scared of that.
My mentor also says that a lot of times we don't do certain things like step out in faith, start a new business, do a new job, do what we love or passionate about, because we are afraid of what people would say. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Anna Quindlen is an American author, journalist, and opinion columnist. And she said, the thing that's really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and beginning to work on becoming yourself.
Absolutely. And I think a couple of minutes ago we were talking about that. That the problem that with some of us is that we say that the world will only accept me if I'm perfect. I will never be perfect. So, and that is part of what lead us down the road to despair, and often taking your own life, and a lot of bad things happen, anxiety, depression, and all those kind of things, because we look at other people and we see elements in people that stand out, that they are successful with, and that they're almost perfect in their lives, in their humanity. Then we want to take that and make it part of our life, because that is great, I must do that. That is great, I must do that. So I'm trying to create perfection. I will never be able to create perfection. And because of that, we become, I'm sorry to say, an absolute failure. Because you're taking on all these different parts, which you're not. And you forget all you have to do is be yourself, and the best self you can be. That's your perfection. And that's what the mirror will tell you. If you are honest and sincere to the mirror, in that mirror, that's where you need to spend your time and say, that person is perfect in my eyes, and live your life accordingly.
Amazing. Thank you, Barty, for today's session. I think here is another comment I want to share. Thank you, Martin, for this. He says, self-reflection is the school of wisdom. He who lives only for himself is truly dead to others. And Henry Ford says, if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right.
Thank you, Martin. All I can say is amen. Absolutely spot on. Thanks for sharing.
Amazing. Thank you, Martin, for sharing with us today. Bertie, any final thoughts as we conclude our broadcast today?
I just want to say, we spoke about the concept of transfusion. It is key to your success and to your future to look at your past for guidance, because there's a lot of things you've done good, and a lot of things that didn't happen as you expected, but you came out of that with flying colors. So you've learned from it. So looking back and say, I've learned a lot. That's what carrying me into the future. But I'm not going to live my life in the past. But then you do spend time, and in this process of transfusion, making certain you get rid of all those things, all those blocks, all those kind of things that's keeping you back. That's not allowing you to live the life you deserve. And it's all up to you. But you have to get rid of them. Otherwise, you're going to carry that baggage with you. And a lot of that is garbage, often. It's going to keep you back. You shackle down. It takes away your speed. It takes away your energy. Get rid of it. It means nothing. Become a new you. And if that means that you're going to lose a couple of friends, then they were the problem that's kept you back all your life. Those that you gain, you'll get new ones, new friends. That's as successful the way as you are. Because if you want to be successful, as we say, surround yourself with success. So you'll have new friends. That the blood transfusion means I'm taking new in new blood, and I throw the old away. Absolutely. Try and do that. I challenge you. Take up the challenge and look over your shoulder for a change. But also spend more time in the mirror, my friend, and not just to comb your hair, if you have any.
Bertie, I wanna give you one final quote here. I think this might be a good one to end with. Mark Twain says, "I can teach anybody how to get what they want out of life. The problem is I can't find anybody to tell me what they want."
That is so true. If I don't know where I'm going,
any road will
then
take me.
as Alice in Wonderland and the interaction with the alley cat when she got to the crossroad and asked him, which road should I take? And his question to her was, depends where you're going. She said, I don't know. And the cat was saying, but then any road will take you there. So absolutely true. Know where you want to go, because that'll make your decision making so much easier and achieving your goals so much quicker.
Phenomenal session today. Thank you everyone for participating, especially Archibald and Martin for sharing comments today. We really appreciate it. If you're watching this afterwards, you're welcome to post your thoughts and your comments and questions in the feed, and we will definitely answer that for you. Thank you so much, Bertie, for spending time with me today, and I'm looking forward to unpacking this concept with you again next week.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and once again from my side, for those that have been watching, thank you. Thanks for your time. Much appreciated.